In our 17th video, we're going to be looking at a project we're going to start. And for this one, we're going to be building a multi-story building that is going to have a base, middle section, and top. And we're doing it this way so we can use the array modifier to change the height of our building and also do some other things with it as well. So right now I'm in the properties editor over here. I have my middle object selected. And as you can see, right now my objects are named cube, cube.001, cube.002. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my navigation tools, make it a little bit larger so it's easier to see. I'm going to scroll down until I find item. I'm going to rename these so I can see what they are really clearly. We're going to call this roof. Okay, I'm going to click on the next one here and rename this one. So we're going to call this one middle, just so we know middle floors, because it could be more than one. We're going to call this one ground floor. Okay, so we want to make sure and have our middle section selected, because what it'll do is we can tell it to put on a base and a top, and it's going to be hard to do it with this one. We wouldn't be able to put anything below it very easily. So in modifiers, I go over to modifiers and I'm going to select add modifier. Array is the first one under generate. And right now you see that it puts several there. If I increase the count, I can put them next to each other, quite a few. We don't want to go in that direction, so I'm going to put 0 in the Y. This is, in the X. This is X, Y, Z. I'm going to click on the third one for the Z-axis, that's the up and down, and we're going to go ahead and say 1. They'll say put them each just next to each other. And so as you can see, I have those kind of going up. And then where it has start cap and end cap, start cap is going to be the ground floor. So I'm going to click on that. And did I not rename this one? I didn't rename that one apparently. So I'm going to call this roof. And we're going to click on that. And then I'm going to go and select this again and put that in there. I could rename it after I pinned it, but that works pretty good. Okay, so here I have my multi-story building going up. I can bring this down really easily. My other parts here that are the base and end cap, I held down shift, I selected both of them, and I'm going to just hit H on the keyboard for hide so that they go away so I don't see them. In here, if I don't turn off the render settings, they'll still be visible, so I'm just going to turn that off on the ground floor. I'm also going to turn that off on the roof there in the editor. And so I should be able to do Shift Z and see kind of what that looks like. Let's do Shift A and add a lamp. Let's go ahead and add a sun lamp. And let's rotate that a little bit. So facing down here like so. And as I zoom in and out of it, you can see it's very basic building, of course, but it just gives us something to play with and work with. In my model, I'm going to go ahead and click on where it says middle floors. I can move this down. So this is my smallest version of the building where I have a count of 1, count of 2, count of 3. It starts to get pretty ridiculous after I start to add more counts than that. But we'll go with this for the moment. So here I have this building. I'm going to hit Shift Z again to go into shaded mode. And I'm going to duplicate this a couple times and we'll do some different things with them. So I'm going to do X. I'm going to pull it out. This is a 2x2 cube, so if I just say 2, it'll put it right next to the other one. You can see that they overlap a little bit. That actually works fairly well if I want it to look like a building or something like that. Maybe I want a little bit more space, so grab Tool G and then X and I can make it move over a little bit sideways. So on this one, and I'm going to do Shift D again, I'm going to do X. I'm going to put 1, maybe this one I'm going to offset just a little bit so it's further over. We're going to do some additional things to these. So I'm going to click on this one here, and I'm going to do Shift S. I'm going to say cursor to selected. I'm going to do Shift A, so it puts the 3D cursor at the point of origin for our object, which is just the middle section. It's the duplicate of the middle section. I'm going to do Shift A, and I'm going to go ahead and add a empty. I'm going to go up to where it says empty. I'm going to use the arrows. It doesn't really matter what empty you use. And for this empty, I'd already put empty in the scene earlier, but we'll use this one. I'm going to call it building 2. Okay? And so I'm going to go and right click on my second building here, and rather than middle floors.002, maybe I say this is building 2. Okay? And now what I'm going to do is in my modifier, I'm actually going to, I could adjust the count, but I'm going to say object offset. I'm going to select my building 2. And here I could actually take this and put this at 0. And if I do S and Z and start to move that modifier, you'll see that it stretches everything out. So I'm going to exit that. I'm going to go back to here, put on the relative offset. I'm going to leave that 1. Now, if I take that empty, so I'm going to go to, I don't think I was moving that empty before, so I'm going to go to where it says building 2 here, and I actually want the one that says building 2.001. That's my empty, I think. Is it? We'll see. So I'm going to go back to, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to hit S and start to scale. If you notice that as I scale, it'll actually deform each section. It does it in chunks, so make it look like it's stacked or something like that. Or if I do if I do G and start to move it, it'll move all of them relative to that one, of course. And so, you could do things like rotate, and maybe you want all your towers to be just a little bit offset or something like that. It's an easy way of doing it so that they don't line up quite nice, a little bit bent. I'm going to go ahead and do Shift Z again, so I'm back in shaded mode. So you can play around with that, of course. You could be quite drastic, of course, with however you're doing that. So if I bend it a lot, if I hit X, so it goes along the X-axis, with very few, it's going to not make a big impact. If I increase the number, so if I click on the building, and the reason why this is building.002, building 2.001, is because I renamed that other object the same thing. So if I call this one building 2 empty, that's actually a little bit better, clear. I don't overlap names. It's not forced to create a number after it. So anyway, I selected the empty again here, and if I do, actually I want to select the building, and if I increase my offset, then it's going to tilt way, way over because of how much I have that empty being tilted. If I reduce this, of course, all the way down, there you don't see a lot of anything happening. Maybe I do just one up, so I'm going to just do 2 sections, so it comes out a little bit forward from the others. Mess around and play with that a little bit. Over in this one, I'm going to do Shift S again. I'm going to say cursor to selected. I'm going to do Shift A, and this time I'm going to add a curve. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this don't even know how to say it, so I'm not going to try. So I'm going to put in that curve, And sometimes when it's hard to see things, if you want to, you could go to the objects settings. You can turn on where it says X-ray, so that way you can see the object through other objects. Can help you identify them really, really well. And so this one I'm going to go ahead and rename Building 3 Curve. Enter. And then I'm going to go and select this building. I'm going to go to my modifiers, and up at the top where it says fixed count, I'm going to select fit curve, and I'm going to select this curve from it. If I go and I take my building 3 curve and I hit S and make it larger, as I make the curve larger and scale it, it'll automatically adjust the building like so. If I turn off relative offset, though, it just puts it down, so I might want to keep that active. I had played around with this feature a long time ago and was actually able to make the building follow the curve, which for some reason I don't see settings on this that let me do that. There might be some other aspects here that will affect it. Interesting. Okay. And stuff. So you can always play around with it. You might find something that I missed on it. That's fantastic. I like to see you guys trying things out with programs. So you can play around with, see what you guys can get them to do. But in the end, you should have some interesting things going on. Maybe not a building that hovers, but just saying. Let me go back to one it doesn't. And stuff. So play around with that. Your goal is to make a multi-story building. It can be a tower. It can be, again, I would like to see them minimally more complex than what I produced for the example. I'll put together some videos to show you some examples and guides that might help you as you construct the buildings, just some basic building techniques.